introduced a season at the end of December that was called Saturnalia. Saturnalia, of course, revolved around the planet of Saturn and the god Saturn. It was celebrated from December 17th to December 25th. This is a season that they had. And the season of Saturnalia had a good intention behind it at the beginning, but its practices became very, very barbaric. The point of Saturnalia was to celebrate law and order, which, if you know anything about Roman culture was about law and order. That things had to be done with law and order. And through the 17th to the 25th, they would disband law and order. They would disband it. There would be no law, there would be no order. The courts would not open, there would be no punishment for crimes. It would be a time of lawlessness. And part of the idea was that, look, if we give people this week of lawlessness, and they see what lawlessness is really like, then in turn, putting law and order into play would be a lot easier. Because if you live in chaos, so they would erase these things. And they would do such practices such as going in the streets naked and going from door to door singing stupid songs for each other. This initially was this practice of Roman paganism that would become known as caroling. It would become known as caroling when Rome came under Christian rule. Also, they would do such things as they would pick, every little town would pick one person who would become the representative of disorder. So they would indulge this person in all kinds of things. They would make them eat till they can't feel themselves anymore, till they're boiling over with food and drink. They would do illicit sexual acts with them, etc. Just everything that you think would connote disorder and immorality. And then what would happen? At the end of this week, they would then kill that person. Sacrifice him. As in, this person is the sacrifice of disorder, of lawlessness amongst us. And then law and order will be reinstituted. To celebrate this, they would also make cookies out of the images of human beings. And then people would eat those cookies in similitude of this person who would become the epitome of law and order, or lawlessness. That is still practiced even today in the Christmas season. What are those called now? Gingerbread cookies. Gingerbread cookies. You think that those gingerbread cookies from a kid's story about Hansel and Gretel. That's not where it comes from. The origin of gingerbread cookies goes back to human sacrifice. So think about that the next time you eat a gingerbread cookie. Think, it's not a big deal. It has its origins. It has its roots. Also, you would see things such as when Christianity came to Rome, and through the influence of Christians, pockets of Rome began to enter into Christianity. And Christianity started to take a hold into Rome. Christians realized one thing about these practices that were being done. And Saturnalia is only one. I'm just dealing with one today. I could go on and on and on about how many Roman pagan practices came to be what known as theological fundamental Christianity of today. We don't have time for the construct of all of it. But this Saturnalia festival, when Christians began to have some power in Rome, one thing that they realized is that Romans weren't coming just wholeheartedly into Christianity and leaving their pagan practices. This is not something they were willing to do. They weren't willing to just give up everything. They weren't willing to give up everything. So Christianity and some of the church fathers and the bishops of the time began to institute some of pagan Roman practices into Christianity, but then give it a blessing and make it sort of a Christian spiritual idea. A Christian spiritual idea. Such as in the 4th century, they imported, this would be in the year 300 and etc., when you start seeing like the councils of Nicaea and start of some of the fundamental Christianity ideologies come into pass, such as the Apostles' Creed and the Nicene Creed and things of this nature come to be formatted in the 4th century. Christian leaders succeeded in converting Christians in large number of pagans by promising them. They would promise them, look, accept Christianity, keep what you have. Keep what you have at the time. Just leave it how it is, just accept Christianity. Just accept Jesus Christ, this Saturnalia thing that you love so much, and we're going to get into Mithaic religion in a moment. You can keep it. Just keep it. Because we pretty much have the same thing. We pretty much have the same thing. We're doing the same thing, and we have a festive season, etc., so on and so forth. Now, the problem was with Saturnalia is that there was no real way to meld that over like with Mirthism, which we'll talk about in a moment. Mirthism was a little bit easier to meld into Christianity. Saturnalia was a little bit more difficult because you had all these human sacrifices going on, you had this lawlessness, this law and order, all these weird things. So the way they solved this problem was deciding that they were going to celebrate the day that Jesus Christ was born on December the 25th. This also coincided with someone's birthday. Anyone know whose birthday it was? Mirtha, sun god of Mirtha. Also, some ruler. I'll leave that one to you for some homework. There was a ruler at the time whose birthday was December 25th, that it coincided very well. But they decided that December 25th would be the birthday of Jesus Christ. This is the day when we will celebrate Christ's Mass. We will celebrate Christ's Mass on December the 25th. It was very easy to meld those two in now. Because during the beginning era of Christianity, let's say the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th century, Saturnalia was still practiced, even in Christian communities. The law and order, but instead of killing people, it became about the festive and merry and festive time. You just get drunk, you just pass out, you do crazy things, you go around to people's houses playing jokes on them, singing for them. Poor people would get gifts from the rich people, etc., so on and so forth. It became a festival of giving. And this became the Christmas season.